Echo Charles. I believe we can move on to the next sector of this podcast. And again, if nothing else is delivered through this podcast, let's let it be these couple things, these couple ideas of learning lessons from other people's experiences and remembering other people's sacrifices. That's definitely one of the driving forces behind my will to do this podcast. And we're going to keep doing the podcast. Echo, get me out of here, please. Get me out of this situation. I'm in that zone right now. I need to send up a red star cluster. You know what that is? So in the military, when you need help, it's a red star cluster. It's a flare. You pop up and it means you couldn't communicate with anybody and you need some help. Gotcha. So there's my red star cluster. You need to jump in and say, "Hey, Jocko, speaking of the podcast, here's how we can support it."
Yep.
So talk about that while I get over here and get myself under control before I start smashing things.
Yeah, if you want to send in reinforcements to support Jocko and our podcast here, while supporting yourself with supplementation, by the way. It's a good idea. Go to onnit.com/Jocko. So Onnit has like these supplements that we take. Supplements for your joints, krill oil, boom. Shroom Tech for performance, hard stuff, CrossFit, jiu-jitsu. If you're trying to go hard,
hardcore
in the paint, Shroom Tech, boom. Also, if you do your shopping at Amazon, which I think we all do, go ahead and click through our website. We have a little link there, and you can support it that way. That's a super easy way. All you got to do is remember to do it before you shop.
That is helpful.
Yeah, very much so. We also have a new tool.
Because can you make the remembering part a little bit easier?
Yes. So when you figure, hey, I gotta remember to go to the website before I shop on Amazon. Sometimes I'm in a hurry, whatever. Maybe I'm thinking about other stuff. I'm not thinking about Jocko's podcast every single day, all day. I gotta buy some cleaner, some duct tape, whatever. Here's a way so it helps you remember and or makes you not have to remember. Anyways, this little tool called the Trooper Tool.
Oh,
Jocko Podcast Trooper Tool. Thanks to Brady for that one.
Brady, props.
It's a cool little thing. It's like this just small little thing. It's pretty cool. You click on, there's a little link on both the websites. So you click on the thing. It asks you if you want it. You click yes. Puts a little icon there on your browser, and it basically directs you to the affiliate Amazon link automatically. So
Perfect.
you don't got to think. Yeah, it's dope. And
that's a really easy way to support the podcast.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah.
It costs Amazon something. And it seems to me like Amazon can afford to kick a little bit to the podcast over here, right?
Yeah, and
Just
really, it does serve its purpose because Amazon, like Amazon, they're a good company, provides good stuff, good service, and all that, and they're trying to get the word out. And they partner with people who can get the word out.
Yeah, and there's people that are going to go, oh, you know what? I want to support the podcast, so I will buy this instead of buying it through some other website. They're going to go to the store that's going to support something that they enjoy or something that they get value out of, hopefully, from this podcast. So, yeah, that's an awesome way to support. We appreciate it.
And it makes it like, it's kind of, this little tool is kind of cool because it kind of makes it official. Like if you're one of the people that listen to this and really talk with us and stuff, it is a cool way to kind of be more part of the group, I guess. I don't know. It seems like it. When I put mine up there, I'm like, hey, I'm like official. I don't know. It felt like
We're
that
in the
to
game.
me. I don't know. Yeah.
Echo Charles is in the game, and we dig that.
So it was cool. Yeah, it's a really cool tool. You don't have to. It's safe. It's not like this. You just put it on. If you don't want it on there anymore for whatever reason,
right click it.
Right click and it.
Because you made a little video that shows. You go to the Jocko Podcast YouTube channel. And Echo Charles made a very high-speed instructional video on how to do this.
I wasn't trying to waste anybody's time. It's really easy.
You are not playing around with the instructional video. I think that was very impressive. Yep. And by the way, subscribe. Do me a favor. troopers, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Jocko Podcast YouTube channel. That way, when Echo, because I've been hacking on Echo to make little outtakes and other little conversations and videos, and he's like, well, we got some subscribers, but maybe if we had some more, maybe I'd be more. So we need to motivate Echo Charles just a little bit, so we could get some outtake videos, some other interesting videos. I wanted to do a little pre-video today of what it was like when we were getting set up, because we have a little ritual that we go through when we're making some beverages, some Alpha Brainy, and we have, so I was like, it'd be pretty cool if you shot a little video, and he's like, well, maybe
Are
one
you trying
day.
to imitate me right now?
No, I actually am imitating you. So subscribe to I don't think it doesn't. I mean, just go to the Jocko Podcast channel on YouTube. Subscribe.
Yeah. I think it's youtube.com/Jocko Podcast.
And also, what's cool about that is when you do that, then you get little emails that say, not like you just get an email that says, "Hey, Jocko Podcast just uploaded a new video." I get those, and I'm always like, "Oh yeah, cool. Now I can watch the video."
And even that's optional.
Oh, okay.
You can opt out
if you can opt out.
But yeah, that's a good. And I have remember that one children's book idea I had. Yeah, you probably forget because.
No, you need to remind me. I got a lot of ideas.
Anyway, I have that on video when we were talking. Anyway.
Oh yeah, that'd be funny. Yeah. So
yeah, I'm gonna post
some things you got to understand. So I have a certain stand. I'm not talking to you, Echo. I'm talking to people that are listening right now. I mean, you're here too, so I guess I'm talking to you too. But people got to understand that there's a certain expectation in my mind of what the podcast is and what it's supposed to be. Sure. So when something happens that's not quite there, I'm like, you know what? I don't really, I don't want to talk about that on the podcast. But this, like, for instance, before we hit record, we're recording, but before I open the show, we're talking about something, right? We're always talking about something. And sometimes those conversations are 20 minutes, half an hour. We're talking about real stuff. We're talking about legit things. But we haven't even introduced the podcast yet, so that goes in the scrap pile.
Right.
Now, some of the scrap pile material, while it might not be in marching step with what the podcast is, it does perhaps have a life that it could live, and it could guide people in a certain way, and it's stuff that people might be interested in. So that could be a YouTube download, YouTube, just post it on there, so that way people get a little taste of other things around the podcast, which I think people would dig.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like, if you
free your mind, Echo Charles, free your mind.
You're totally right.
Well, thank you. For once.
Yeah, because you know how if you listen to it on iTunes, you're like, why am I going to sit and watch Echo and Jocko talk to each other? I listen to and I got to look at them too. A lot of people might not be interested in that.
There's some moments. Subscribe? You know what I do is I watch certain moments of the podcast on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like when I know I was feeling intense about something, I go and see what that looks like. See, like, okay, what does that look like when I'm feeling that? Does it look like from the outside what it feels like from the inside? Because even today I was getting pretty fired up. Like, I mean, you're talking about heroes and young man, 18, 19, 20 years old that said, okay, this unpopular war, I'll go fight it.
Yeah.
I'll go fight it. I'll go risk my life. I'll go out there in the jungle and live in, I was out this week in the field, right? Camping. I kept putting it in quotes on Twitter. I was putting in quotes because I was like, I can't call this the field. But, it wasn't the comfort of a house, right? Mm-hmm. It was bugs and ants. And I'm like thinking to myself, this is nothing. And I was thinking back to the Forgotten Highlander. And remember, the bugs were just eating those guys alive. Mm. And, you can't compare. So these guys that just stepped up, fought, I just want to always, that kind of thing will get me fired up. So when I go back to the videos, sometimes I go, man, what was I looking like right there? A little self-assessment. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if, because when I'm feeling that way, I'm like, okay, you got to detach a little bit because you're starting to get a little bit fired up. I'm going to start breaking. I'm going to start getting like really emotional about something. And so I got a little red flag goes up. I go, you got to back off a little bit here. We don't have to edit the video if I break down.
Yep.
So I got to just back off. And sometimes I got to see, what does that look like? Does it look, can you tell? Am I looking, so that's the kind of thing that I like to go back and look at the YouTube videos and say, what does this look like?
Yeah. There's some value, and there's a lot of value on YouTube that we're probably not, capitalizing. I don't know, whatever, for people who care.
And it's weird too, because the interesting thing about all this is you use the word capitalize, right? And the fact of the matter is we aren't really capitalizing on this at all. And I keep getting told by a variety of different people what to do to do what that right there, to capitalize.
Yeah, I meant it just capitalize, not for us to capitalize. I mean, for everybody, people listen.
But what we want to do is we want to maximize the effort that we put in here. We want to maximize it so that people get the most out of it.
Yeah, that's what.
That's what I know. That's what you meant. I know you didn't mean like let's run to the cash machine, because we're doing it for the passion of doing it. That's what I'm sitting here for. Sitting here so I can tell this story right here about these guys.
Yeah.
And I know, I hear from all kinds of cops. I hear from my SEAL buddies that are still in, that are listening to it, that are asking me, texting me questions, going, hey, man, what's going on with this? Hey, what would you have done differently here? Hey, those are my buddies that are getting ready to deploy overseas right now. And I get texts and emails and Twitter things from guys that are active duty in the Marine Corps and the Army. So I know that we're getting the word out there, and that's what I'm sitting here for.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you make a good point with, there's a lot of people who don't watch the video. Of course, that totally makes sense.
I mean, I don't watch podcast videos.
Right.
I mean, why? The reason podcasts are so convenient is you can be doing something else.
Yes.
You don't have to dedicate. You don't have to dedicate all your senses to it. You only have to dedicate two of them: your ears and your brain.
Yeah.
But you don't have to dedicate your eyes. You don't have to dedicate your ass to sit down in a chair and watch something. You can walk around. You can do yard work. You can drive. You can do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But I think the shorter little YouTube clips where you go, hey, check this out. This is when Jocko and I were discussing a kid's book that Echo was talking about.
Good idea, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm going to post it.
Yeah, post that thing up.
Yeah. And it's interesting because a lot of people apparently are surprised that I look different than I sound, I guess.
Oh, yeah. They think you're a skinny white hipster.
Or, yeah.
That's what they think you are.
Maybe I am at heart.
Maybe you are at heart. You're just trapped. Maybe you identify as a skinny white hipster, even though you're a 220 something
I don't know.
pounds.
No, I don't know. Hey, I don't identify myself by my physical characteristics. It's what's in my heart and my mind.
The content of your character,
the content of my
we
character.
like to say.
Awesome. Yeah, I think the YouTube idea is a good idea. Yeah, we'll post more. So I have a lot too, man. So many outtakes, a lot.
Oh,
all right.
And you've done some really good outtake videos in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty. Yeah.
From when we were filming commercials and stuff.
Oh, right.
Yes. Yeah, those were good.
Yes. All right.
Anything else?
Jocko, you in?
Jocko store? Did you talk about that? Yes. Go to the store, buy some merchandise. Somebody hit me up on Twitter the other day, and they're like, hey, you should set up we got asked this a bunch of times. Set up a Patreon. Patreon? Is that what it's called?
Patreon.
Patreon. Where you can donate to the podcast a certain amount. And I just said, hey, man, go buy a T-shirt. That supports us just as well.
Yeah.
And you get a T-shirt. And just that's a good way to support the podcast.
Yeah.
Buy some merchandise. Buy some gear.
Right. Yeah, the Jocko store, that's a good one. T-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers. Those are kind of cool. One of my friends saw 2 Jocko stickers in the wild. In one day. Yeah.
Dang.
Or maybe just over the weekend.
What location?
Here, San Diego.
Oh, everyone in San Diego. We know everyone in San Diego. It doesn't count.
I don't know.
I want to see it in Cleveland.
It counts. But yeah.
Awesome.
That's good. Yep.
So